The price of sending mail is about to go up again. The United States Postal Service, USPS, might be increasing our stamp prices for the second year in a row. USPS cites that the price increases are due to inflation, which has affected their operating expenses. New rates will include a 2-cent increase for first class mail and those forever stamps. There's other projected proposed changes as well. Now, if this is approved, the changes will go in effect on January 21st of 2024. Of course, any forever stamps that you currently have, regardless of price changes, will forever be received by the UPS as is, as if it's enough postage, regardless of the increase. So you still have time to go in and purchase stamps at its current price up until January, probably January 20, because if it's going in effect on the 21st, which isn't exactly confirmed yet as far as the reports that I found, but right now that is the projected date. So you have until January 20 to buy postage, the forever stamps at the current price, so that you won't need to add any additional 2-cent, 3-cent stamps or whatever the actual increase is going to be. All right, they keep hitting us with all these price increases and blaming it on inflation. Nothing changes. Retirement for many of us is quickly approaching, and for some of us, it's already here. My guest, Sharon Goicoechea, is a certified professional retirement coach, and she's here to offer tips to help you navigate this change. Her background is social work, business coaching, plus several years of experience helping women in transition, gives her a distinct approach to help her clients embark on their next adventure, retirement. Sharon believes that retirement can be a time of growth, self-discovery, and new beginnings, and that retirement is about finding new passions, exploring new interests, and creating a life aligned with one's values and aspirations. Sharon, thank you for joining us.
Well, Sunita, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
So tell me, how has retirement changed, and how can today's women best approach or prepare for this chapter in their lives?
Well, it's changed in quite a few ways. If we think back to our mothers, most of us had mothers who might have worked part-time but were home. For us, baby boomers like me, we pretty much worked for our whole life. Actually, I think with our parents, it was about 36 or 38% of our moms may have been in the workforce. By the time the 1990s, which is when most of the baby boomers were in their prime working years, we were at 45%. So there's quite a few more of us going on. So there's more of us in the workforce. And some of us aren't retiring. Let's keep that in mind. Some of us are continuing to work. But for those that are retiring, they're healthier, they're more active, they have maybe another 25, maybe even 30 years to live, and they want those to be productive years. They want to be doing things. They want to be continuing to grow and explore and try new things. So they're not ready to sit back and kind of live on autopilot. They want to spread their wings still. Plus, for many of them, it might be the first time they've had that time just for themselves to figure out, okay, what do I want? They can rediscover themselves. They can try new interests, maybe even return to some old passions or dreams that they didn't have time for. So it has become a time of possibilities for us.
Yeah, I'm 56, and I actually, in my mind, I'm already planning for, when retirement comes, I don't foresee myself just doing nothing at whatsoever. Maybe I
Right.
still have this show, maybe I'll have a business.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I know that I'm not going to sit around and just do nothing or travel.
Exactly. Yep. hmm It's very,
Yeah.
very true.
So how does, okay, as women approach retirement, I know so many of us focus on the financial aspect of
Right.
retiring, being ready financially.
Right.
In in your type of coaching, is that your focus or
No, no, I am not. I am completely non-financial. I leave that to the experts, of which I am not. So, with my background being in social work, I like working with people, helping them figure out their what's next.
Mm.
That's what I've done. So, the financial might be a key component of retirement, and my focus on that is simply making sure that they understand the importance of a budget, that they have a financial plan, and if they're using a financial planner or advisor, that they're talking to them on a regular basis, and that they know what their financial situation is. Someone once told me, with regards to your finances, if you can't explain it, you shouldn't own it. So, non-financial for me.
Okay, so it was your own transition in retirement that helped you decide to go in this direction. Please share that story because maybe others can identify with that.
Okay, sure. In my late 40s, I decided to go back to school. I had always wanted psychology or social work degree. So my late 40s, I had the opportunity to do that. So I went back to school, got my degree in social work, worked in it and loved it. Worked in a couple of different areas of women that were going through transitions, and then thought about going back for my master's, but then somebody told me about coaching. And I thought, well, that sounds really interesting because it really aligned with what I loved about social work, was helping people, like I said, move forward, figure out the what's next. So I went back, got my certification in coaching, from the college here, same place I'd gotten my social work degree, and used that while I continued to work, and actually started building a part-time business helping women in transition through my coaching. And then when I got to the point where I thought, okay, I am going to start thinking about retirement. My husband's a few years older than I am, and I want some flexibility here. I thought, I want to continue using my coaching. But the more I looked around and read, I realized there wasn't really a lot of help out there. A lot of articles, but not a lot of help for people going into retirement. So then I came across, in my research, I came across this certification program, went for it, completed that, and then started focusing on retirement transition coaching.
Was your own retirement transition, was that kind of tough as well? Is that why you started, once you did more research, you realized, kind of like, I need help. There's not many resources out here, so let me help others who are probably seeking it as well.
Well, I don't think it was so much mine because I pretty much kind of had a plan for it. But my first insight into it was when my husband retired. He was in the military for over 40 years, and he retired, and things were great for the first 6 months. I think for any retiree, that's the case. No alarm clock, you don't have to be anywhere, no one telling you what to do. But then after about 5 or 6 months, he really started struggling. It's like, who am I? He had this dream of sitting on the subway, of being on a subway platform, and the train is leaving him. And here he is with nothing to do. So watching him go through that and helping him with that really opened my eyes to the idea that there is a lot of things that go on: loss of identity, loss of purpose. And we need those things. We need those things to get up and, start our day.
Yeah, call it the later in life purpose. Like you need that.
You do. It's very important.
Excited. So one of your reviews on your website that stood out to me was
Mm-hmm.
review Kathy. And she stated that after 33 years of being a caregiver, her husband passed away, is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
supposing.
Mm-hmm.
She was retired. And of course, after he passed away, she felt lost. And I took care of my dad for 2 years. I was working and
Mm-hmm.
everything, but I understand how your world revolves around caregiving. And
Right.
people, I think, are going to be hit with that once that
Mm-hmm.
transition has changed. What do I do with all this time? How do you help someone through that?
Well, you help them take care of themselves. You know, sometimes we are in life faced with things, we just have to get through them. We know that this is something we have to do, but there are ways to reframe the way we think about it. There's now a lot of help out there. I think when that particular client was going through that, there wasn't as much assistance. So a lot of it fell to her. So one of the things that I would do with a client who was experiencing that is we look at the resources. Where can we get some help? How can we pull some people in here that are going to take some of the load off of you? And how are we going to help you find some things that are going to be stress relievers, that are going to incorporate some self-care, and also figure out a way to put in some of those things that you really did still want to do. It's possible. It's just figuring out how to put all of that together.
Yeah, one thing I noticed that's different is sometimes I force myself just to take my time in the store, because for 2 years my life was built around getting back before, it was time for the nurse to leave.
Yes. Yes.
That was not fun, but I did it. So my other question is, how do you deal with helping your clients? Because of course, with the retirement, people are passing away. How do you help your clients deal with the isolation that sometimes come with retirement?
Well, the programs that I have actually will address things like that, because one of the things that will happen is when you do leave work, all of your social connections may have been through work. If you talk to me before you leave work, then we're going to look at building social connections that are going to be in place when you retire. If you're already retired, let's figure out what you're going to do. Am I answering your question? Is that what you were looking for?
Okay. I like that. So you're like a pre-planning coach for retirement, or if you're already within it. And I love that, because there are different stages.
Exactly.
Yeah. So are there like different, I don't know, is your training like just you go with the flow with each client, or are there like different modules, like 3 different stages, 4 different stages?
Well, it depends on if you're pre-retiree or if you're already retired. If you're pre-retiree, we have some tools through the Retirement Coaches Association. For instance, they've come out with a 56 question assessment, which is really wonderful because it helps people figure out, what don't I know about retirement? So it assesses their knowledge base of retirement, and then looks at how are you going to handle the social side of it? How are you going to do different things? So that's there. At some point, they hope to have one for post-retirees, but we have that one. Retirement is retirement, but every person's story is going to be a little different. So there are some tools that we use. I've got a couple of coaching packages I use, but we have a retirement wellness workbook that we will work through. We'll take a look at that. I've got several tools. One of my favorite is what I call it's not what I call, but what the association labeled the curiosity list. And to compare it to a bucket list, the bucket list these are the things I want to do. The curiosity list is, these are the things I'm curious about. I really want maybe to know more about gardening. Maybe I want to learn a language. Maybe I want to learn to paint. Any number of things. And you just put these things on a list. It doesn't mean you have to do them. You're not committing. But at some point, you can go back and you can explore that.
And you have more time.
Yes. And you can really take a look at it, and you keep that list out and you add things to it. Some people might want to go skydiving, but for some of us, maybe we just want to take a cooking class. So it just depends on how adventurous you want to be.
One advantage retirees have today is that there's so much available. If you mentioned learning another language, they can get that information from the library for free.
Yes.
So there's a lot of resources out there.
Yes.
Won't happen to your budget. Okay, so I have another question. So I have a close friend of mine. Her aunt took care of her uncle. Her uncle was with the, DNA uncle. I
Mm-hmm.
describe it. So he got sick, and of course, the aunt wound up taking care of him. He passed away. And what my friend said that was frustrating for the aunt was that they had saved all this money to
Mm-hmm.
hoping to travel the world upon
Right.
retirement. And
Mm-hmm.
literally months after his retirement, I think she was still working. Maybe she was just a few months
Mm-hmm.
retirement
Right.
as well. He got sick. So, so they never got to travel and, together because they did everything together. Apparently, they dressed alike and everything.
Okay.
Would you help someone in that situation? Because she's dealing with loss, depression. She might not enjoy herself traveling all the places they decided
Right.
because she's sadder because he's not with her.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with situations like that? It didn't work out exactly as planned, which is
Right.
life, but
It is life. That happens sometimes. I
yeah.
mean, you go through, if you're a couple, you go through this, you work, you save, and then at the end of it, something happens to one of them.
Mm,
And that's a loss, and there's going to be obviously a grieving process.
hmm.
As far as what I can do, keeping in mind I'm not a therapist
Yeah.
and I'm not a grief counselor, and sometimes that's what someone wants. But I also think, and I'm going to say this from the perspective of a friend of mine who was relatively young when she lost her husband. And what she learned was that she needed time to sit with that, to feel it, to experience it. And then she was ready to talk. And then we had a lot of conversations about, okay, now what am I going to do next? What
Mm,
is it I want to do? I have this time. And it really is through a lot of, and, coaching questions, which are the kind of the bulwark of coaching is asking those questions to get people to really think and to reflect and to gain some clarity on and insights on what's important to them now.
yeah.
One of the things that happens when we retire, and even as we get older, is we have to reprioritize our values. What was a value when we were raising our children, which was, family and taking care of them and nurturing them. They're now adults. So now how does that, play out? So it's really starting to talk to someone, listen, because listening is really, really important. What is it I'm hearing them say? What is it that they're missing that they want? And then we start, and we just kind of go from there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of conversation. The tools I'm talking about aren't necessarily going to move her
Yeah.
in the direction, because her situation's a little different. And that's when I say everybody's got their unique situation.
Yeah, I thought about that situation for many years. And while you were talking, because I always thought about what would I do? And then it just hit me. I think in my situation, of course, I would probably get a therapist and a coach.
Mhm.
Probably double
Mhm.
up. But then it hit me, maybe what I would do is look at, still go to those places where me and my husband plan to go and look at it as in honor of him and
Right.
celebration of his life. I still
Mhm.
want to do this for us.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what I would do.
Right.
And hopefully I would still have a good time and not be overly sad. Like you look at it as
Mhm.
celebrating life.
Right. Right. A way to honor. And you can do that on your own. You could do that with family. There are any number of things you could do with that, but it would be talking to them to find out what is it you want to do.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Wow.
Mhm.
So, and then even I think about you save for retirement, for travel, put off so much until then, and maybe you can't really walk around. You can't really see all the sights.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
maybe that's a whole other, like appreciating the now.
Yes. Yes. Well, they do say, well, it's interesting because one of the things that I will talk to people about is maintaining their physical abilities. I
Mm,
encourage all my clients, no matter what we're doing, find something you enjoy. I don't care if it's golf or tennis or pickleball or, walking every day. Find something to do. because you
Yeah.
want to maintain your health and your mental acuity for as long as possible. Those are really important because they're going to be the cornerstone of your retirement. One of the new sayings out there is health is the new wealth.
Very
So,
true.
so how am I going to maintain that? So when I work with someone on developing a plan, the physical aspect of it is very important.
Okay. So is it like physical, mental, spiritual?
You're right. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and the financial, which I said it's not the planning, but it's do you know what you have? And
Yeah.
even the spiritual, for me, I think is really important. And the spiritual is whatever you want it to be. For me, it's nature.
Hmm.
For someone else, it might be something else. But we need to bring mindfulness and some type of a spiritual strength into us. And I think that goes a long way in centering us and helping us through this time.
Love it. So, Sharon, how would a potential client reach you?
Well, they could go to my website. It's probably easiest simply to email me.
Okay.
Um, do you have my email there? Do I need to give it to you or?
You can go in and share it. I do have your
Okay. All right. It's simply Sharon dot living your retirement at gmail.com.
perfect. And I think I saw that you give like a 20-minute, 15-minute
I
free.
do. I give a 20-minute free phone call, and you can actually go on my website and schedule it. Or if technology isn't your thing, once again, just email me and we'll put it on the calendar. But yes, because coaching is not something a lot of people are familiar with or how it can help them, or even getting to know somebody. So, yep, 20 minutes, we just chat. I also offer just a single session. So if someone just has a single issue they kind of want to work through, we can also do that.
I love
And
it.
they don't have to go through a whole package or a whole series.
Okay. So if they want to work through an issue and then maybe call you in 2, 3 months, schedule another, they can do that.
Sure, sure. For instance, I had someone who wanted to kind of work on boundaries because they found out that when they retired, all of a sudden people thought they had all this time. And then they wanted to be busy and they wanted to help, but all of a sudden they've said yes to so much, they realize that I might as well be back at work because I'm doing more.
Mm,
So we just kind of talked through that. And, that was a big help to them.
perfect. Wonderful. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure.